Let's talk about sewing with a twin needle. In order to sew with a twin needle, there's several things that you need to think of in terms of setting up your machine. The first is, how do you thread it? I use the thread stand 99% of the time, and if I look at my machine and how it's set up, you can see the second thread is going through a thread guide, but the machine is threaded the normal way. The only difference is when I get down to the needle, I do not take that second thread behind the number 6 bar or thread guide. My thread is in front of that guide. You also cannot use the automatic needle threader for obvious reasons. You have 2 needles on the machine, so don't try it. You need to have your wide stitch plate on your machine, and then back at the screen you'll notice that right now I have single needle engaged, so to select double needle I select this. Now I can change the left-right shift with the twin needle engaged, but I would also tell you to always turn your hand wheel if you move it too much to the left or the right. I can use a zigzag stitch and change the width of that stitch. Again, I would probably test the swing of the needle going to the right and left by hand just to verify that I'm not going to hit the side of my foot. So I'll set it back to the regular settings, and let me increase the length a little bit. And let's stitch this out and see what it looks like. I've already sewn a sample using the straight stitch, so I want to show you that sample so you get an idea of what it looks like with the twin needle. And I actually have 3 colors of thread because my bobbin thread is a white thread. If you did not own a serger and you wanted to do a cover stitch, you could use the straight stitch, and you would have a stitch that somewhat replicates what the look of a cover stitch is using a twin needle. So we'll go ahead and just put our presser foot down and start sewing. And the nice thing about using a twin needle is that you can really get some very decorative effects using it. And you can also use a wing needle if you want to get a decorative effect. But that is a single needle, not a double needle. So let's cut our thread. And here's a look at what that stitch looks like on the front and the back. So that's sewing with a twin needle. Now if you notice that your tension is off, and I can tell because I have 3 colors of thread, I can adjust the tension on my machine so that I'm not getting too much of a loop underneath. Also, if I was really sewing this, I would for a garment, I would choose a different color other than white. I would use one of the colors I have in my top needles.